I had a good friend of mine ask me, hey Andre, what's a good action camera for 1080p? He doesn't need 4K, he doesn't even need 2K, he just needs 1080p, something that's got good image quality, decent audio, to where he can just use it without having to get anything else, and stabilization is kind of okay, and he didn't even mind getting a gimbal if it was inexpensive enough. So to him and to you out there that are on a budget, here are the top 3, in my opinion, underrated action cameras. Okay, so we all know that the GoPro Hero 7 Black, massively great camera, great image stabilization. Same goes for the Osmo Action. Superb video quality, unbelievably great stabilization. But if you're on a budget, what can you get for 1080p video? Because, you know, HD video is still a standard right now. It's going to be quite a number of years before 4K, everybody's doing 4K, and they look at 1080p like it was VGA. So 1080p video, what's the budget? So let's look at some cameras that I really feel personally that are very just underrated, that deserve a lot more attention. And I'm going to combine them all 3 with a very inexpensive gimbal. So I'm going to use the Isteady Pro by Hohem. It is a $99 or less because they do run sales. And keep in mind, I'm going to put some links in the description below right now, just so you can kind of check out, or you can check them out after you see the video clip examples, so that you can check out these cameras. The Yi Lite can come in anywhere from $59 to $69. And so the seller that I've got in the link will periodically do a great sale on it. The Mija 4K action camera, yes, it shoots 4K, but its 1080p I think is very, very nice. It's got good audio that kind of overclips a little bit, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. But you can find that on sale anywhere from $89 to $149, just kind of depending on the seller and when they do specials. And then the Firefly 8 SE. Yes, it shoots native 4K, 30 frames per second, but it doesn't have electronic image stabilization at 4K 30. But it does add 1080p, whether it's 30 or 60, and I think it's very good image stabilization. But like I said, I'm combining all 3 of these with the Isteady Pro2 gimbal so that you can kind of get the best possible smooth footage. And I'm going to do some audio samples so you can listen to audio, how the Isteady Pro works, the Pro 2, and then the image quality come out of these cameras. Now, I know somebody's going to say, well, what about the Akaso V50X? Why don't you include this into it? The Akaso V50X is for those that are looking for 4K, 30 frames per second with great, I mean very, very, very good image stabilization at under $100. And I'll even put a link to this one below because it's still on sale right now. It's not going to be on sale for too much longer. But it keeps you away from the $300-400 action camera market. So let's get to these videos and then I'll tell you my thoughts. Okay, so the first camera that I'm going to show you right now is the Yi Lite, shooting 1080p, 30 frames per second. And I've got this tied in conjunction with the Isteady Pro2 gimbal. Now, I do have electronic image stabilization on the Yi Lite, but just to show, when you have the electronic image stabilization on and you use it in conjunction with the 3-axis gimbal, you get some really nice buttery smooth footage. Like I said, when you talk about a camera that is in the $59, $69 range, that has really good audio, the color on this camera is a little bit on the cooler side, so you get a little bit more of the bluish, cooler tint to it. but it's nothing that you can't fix in post. Now the next camera that I'm showing you now is the Mija 4K. Now yes, I am shooting in 1080p, 30 frames per second, because it has electronic image stabilization at 1080p. Once again, using the Isteady Pro2 gimbal. One thing that is a downfall to the Mija is that its audio is really hot. So if you talk in a little bit quieter tone of voice, you get a lot better audio. So if you start projecting your voice really loud, it gets really overblown on the audio where it'll actually peak out on you. So what I've done is I put a little piece of a dead cat fur up over the microphone to help absorb some of those sounds. But the image quality that comes out of this camera, I think for the money, because you can find this camera sometimes in the $70 to $99 range, and its 4K is really, really nice, especially if you use it in conjunction with a gimbal. That's why this camera is one of my picks for the 3 most underrated cameras in the action camera field. And now the third camera that I think is one of the most top 3 underrated cameras for the action camera field is the Firefly 8SE. 1080p, 30 frames a second, electronic image stabilization on, once again using it with the Isteady Pro2 gimbal. But there's a lot of things about this particular camera that I like. I like the audio right out of the camera because I think it's very nice and clean. It's not overpowered. It's not really tinny and muffly like most action cameras are. And I really like its color profile, because I think when it comes to action cameras and skin tones, they all fight a lot to get an accurate skin tone with an action camera. This one here I found to be the most accurate and the most pleasing to the eye. Out of all the action cameras that I have, and I've got 75, 78 of them, something like that. It's a ridiculous number. I need to get rid of a lot of them. This is the one that I use a lot whenever I'm going out and I'm checking out different abandoned locations, or I'm out on little scouting runs for abandoned locations that I think are really cool. I use this camera. I like the color profile of it. I like the audio. The image stabilization is good, but when you add it with a 3-axis gimbal, it really makes it very good to where you can go out and go vlogging. Super, super light setup. You don't need an external microphone, at least in my opinion. And that's why I consider the Firefly 8SE one of the top 3 underrated action cameras. So as you can see from the videos, they turn out very nicely. The audio from the Yi Lite, a little bit on the quiet side, a little bit of the high frequency and a little tinny sounding, but not bad. Then you've got the Mija 4K. Very hot audio, and like I'd shown, I put that little dead cat muff over the top of the microphone to try to bring down some of that level. And unfortunately, you can't bring down the level a whole lot, because when it overclips, you can't restore that. It's my wife trying to tell me something, of course. Gotta love it. But the image quality is very good, and if you don't talk very loud, and you'll get some good audio from it. And then it's the Firefly 8SE. I like that camera. I like its color profile. I like the audio. I like the image quality that comes out of it. It's a little bit sharper than the other two regarding its in-body or in-camera sharpness level already. And some people like sharpness, some don't. Some would rather add it in post, and that's fine too, but I just wanted to show you the 3 underrated budget action cameras. And I hate to say for 2019, because a couple of these have been out for a while. But just to kind of just let you know, hey, there is some options out there. You don't have to spend crazy money to get decent image quality out of an action camera. The battery life on all 3 of those cameras was surprisingly long whenever you shoot in 1080p at 30. The Yi Light will last about an hour, 20 minutes is what my average is at 1080p at 30. Now the Mija 4K 1080p at 30, I've gotten over 2 hours out of battery life out of that. And same goes for the Firefly 8SE. Now I've seen some people complain that it's only like an hour's worth of shooting. I've actually shot 2 hours and 15 minutes with the Firefly 8SE at 1080p 30 with electronic image stabilization on non-stop. So kind of keep that in mind. Anyway, I hope you guys have yourself a great day, and until the next video, I'll talk to you later. Bye.